This is a video about the importance of character development in second-tier spiral dynamics colors, awakening and enlightenment. Hello, this is Wake Up with another video about spiral dynamics, awakening, enlightenment, spirituality, whatever you want to call it. And this time about character development or personality, improvement, and so on. I have said in most of my previous videos that personality development has nothing to do with awakening or enlightenment or getting into coral and so on, which is true. On the other hand, there's a very important other aspect for which character development and personality improvement plays a very important role. We are speaking right now about coral, and coral is the washer, the wastewater treatment plant, the purifier. Every shit you have not dealt with up till now, you have to deal with. Same goes for awakening. If you wake up, you have to deal with your shit sooner or later, and it will not all disappear. If you wake up, some things will just disappear. Some addictions, some fears, some worries, some stress triggers, they will just disappear. But some will not. Moreover, what most people do not know, and most awakened and enlightened people do not admit, is that you can fall out of it. There are several stages of enlightenment that starts with waking up and ends with whatever some weird gurus in the Himalayas can do. And usually people treat it as if there would only be one stage. It's not. It's not even only two stages like waking up and enlightenment. There's all kinds of colors in between. And we don't have a description system for this yet, but some people are starting to develop some. Spiral dynamics helps us to a certain point, but waking up can happen in any color. Preferably not in beige, red and orange. That's exhausting. But any other color can easily, waking up can happen. And it doesn't mean that you're suddenly in turquoise or coral. It's just that part of you wakes up and your personality stays wherever it was prior to that, in blue, for example. Yeah, many people, they wake up in a religious experience in blue, or in a shamanic experience in purple or green. Once waking up happens, or once you enter colors like turquoise and coral and teal, you most likely want to stay there. It's much more relaxed. All this babbling in your head, your internal dialogue has finally stopped. Finally stopped. And you feel free, you feel like you woke up from a long dream. Everything seems more real in a good sense, or more unreal also in a good sense. But if you carry a lot of baggage with you, a lot of unsolved issues and traumas, and you still have a lot of triggers left, what can happen is that you fall out of it. Actually, that's what happens to most people who wake up. They fall in and out of it for years. It's not a one-time thing, plug, then instant illumination and then that's it. No. It's a process and it fluctuates, it oscillates, it varies. And even if you're in it, you might skip out of it for seconds or minutes or hours or days or weeks or months and then come back to it. It's not something you can really control, but if you cleaned up your baggage, if you cleaned up the skeletons in your closet, the corpses in your basement, the dirt under your carpet, then it's much more likely that you can stay in there and that the experience of being awake or being in coral is much more loving and less wastewater treatment like. One of you even called it a toxic cesspool. It can be. If you have all this toxicity inside of you, it can be horrible, the experience, to get rid of this all at once. For example, it has been found out, to my very surprise, that some people who wake up can still be racist or sexist. That is especially true if waking up happens in a first-tier color. So prior to waking up and also after waking up, it's very good to do self-improvement things like psychology sessions or family constellation, coachings, whatever rings your bell, whatever works for you. Keep on doing it, because you need to get rid of this baggage as soon as possible. The sooner you get rid of it, the more comfortable will be your experience of awakening and the cleansing process that is linked to this. The misunderstanding here is that doing this psychology stuff and self-improvement and character development and so on will not make you wake up, or will not make you get enlightened, or will not make you get into turquoise, coral or teal or other colors. But it will help you nonetheless. For example, you can be an alcoholic, and when you wake up, the alcoholism is gone. Byron Katie, for example, or Nero, there are many masters who are an example for that. But for others, they wake up and the alcoholism is still there. So then you still have to deal with it. Usually people who are awake are less stressed. Yeah, they are more stress resistant. But there are still some triggers. There will remain some triggers. You will not get rid of all your triggers all at once. It usually takes years. And these stress triggers, they can be anywhere. In love relationships, in work relationships, accidents, diseases, catastrophes, whatever. We have seen now, for example, during the corona madness, that there were different reactions, even amongst people who claim that they're awake. There were gurus who actually recommended to wear masks and stay at home and stuff like that, because they're centered in blue. And extreme stress situations can throw you back 1, 2 or 3 colors, or even all the way back to beige for people who are in first tier, or yellow for people who are in second tier. Another example. Last week I had a car accident, and I remained quite calm during the accident, the day of the accident and the day after. Also because I got treated immediately by my wife and friends and a colleague of mine with several health improvement techniques and methods. But all in all, it went quite well. But about 3 days afterwards, it really started to rattle me. And I can still feel it. I'm less concentrated, I'm forgetful, I'm sometimes on the verge of feeling overwhelmed. And that is because the deepest part of myself, some people call it the feeling self, that's the instincts and the emotions and the sensory organs, also the feeling, the perception of your own body, which is the last self that dissolves once enlightening happens. Yeah, the first self that goes is the thinking self, the narrative self, that's totally babbling all the time and telling yourself a story and trying to keep that story alive by all means. And the last thing that goes is that feeling self, with all its aspects. So if you have a physical accident, it goes much deeper. The whole system is rattled. The thoughts might be okay. They were still also upset in my case for a few days, but now they're okay again. but physically and emotionally I still feel not 100% my usual self or my usual non-self. Now, accidents, diseases, hyper-stress situations, traumas, dramas of all kinds can fling you out of your color or out of the awakening experience for some time or even indefinitely. And that explains so much why some gurus, some spiritual teachers start talking nonsense after a few years or decades, because you can fall out of it. And once you fall out of it, very few teachers who have built their lives around it or even their business around it, that they are awake or enlightened, very few have the guts and the honesty to say, sorry, I fell out of it. I can't be your teacher anymore. Who does that? Well, I would. I already told you that I went into choral twice and fell out of it twice. Now it's the third time in choral, and now I'm confronted with all kinds of other shit. I thought I was quite well prepared, but I don't get the same challenges. I don't get the same stuff to clean up than the last two times. I get new challenges, like this car accident or bureaucratic hurdles and so on. Whatever is difficult for you will be flung at you. The shit will hit the fan. It's like Thomas Aquinas, who said, don't ask for less weight on your shoulders, ask for stronger shoulders. It's not like that you wake up and suddenly an angel will come and say, oh, you're free now. Your life is happy and without troubles from now on. You can do anything and nothing can hurt you anymore. Nothing can touch you anymore. You're invincible and immortal. This will not happen. This never happened to anyone, and it will not happen to you either. What will happen is whatever you have not cleaned up before, you have to clean up now. Basically, most people are psychological messies, yeah? They ignore their problems for years and years and years until they become really bad. And in case of spirituality, this has dire consequences. Because the day will come when you have to deal with it. Yeah? Judgment Day. Judgment Day is not God coming and punishing everyone. Judgment Day is you will see yourself for what you are, with all your strengths and weaknesses and problems and fears and shortcomings. And then it's time to clean it up. You're judging yourself. And only after you have cleaned up all that stuff, enlightenment can happen. That's why it's a process between awakening and enlightenment. And that's why you have to go through this coral washer before you get to teal and other colors. Peace will only come after this internal war. So while character development and self-improvement will not help you to progress from color to color and will not help you to wake up, it will help you in your daily life, no matter if you're awake or not, if awakening has happened to you or not, it will help you. And it's also very useful to know that you can fall in and out of awakening, or that the sensation of awakening can disappear for some time, or can be less clear. And also that there are several stages of being awake, which I will talk about in the future. And it may also be that spiral dynamics is not the best terminology for that. Spiral dynamics was developed mainly for the first tier, and then yellow is still quite easy to understand, and turquoise already gets a bit spongy, and the later colors more and more unclear. So one of my best friends, he has discovered a new system of describing these spiritual stages and experiences. And once we're more clear on that system, if it really works as a descriptive tool, we'll tell you about it. So don't think that all your troubles will be gone once waking up has happened. Some troubles will be gone or will be less strong or won't trigger you anymore because you're not taking them serious anymore. And some will be left according to your culture, your religion you've been brought up to, into your family, your education, childhood traumas, whatever. Whatever has formed your character, your ego, will still have an influence in you. You're not separate from your body-mind. This is also one of the reasons why sometimes things that awakened or enlightened people say differ from each other a little bit. Because there are different backgrounds behind it. A Chinese person will say something else, then a Brazilian person will say something else than a Danish person. It's not the same, the way they grew up. Also, the culture in which you grow up plays a huge role, because in some cultures, these spiritual experiences are well received, and some they're not well received. Yeah, in the West, in those first world super rich countries like Europe and North America, mostly, and Japan and so on, we're in a red culture. We're in an ambition-driven culture where we have been taught that the only things that count are success and fame and material wealth. Once waking up happens, this will all be indifferent to you. This will all not be important for you anymore, and you want to do something else. Yeah, basically you need to go in the forest and meditate there for a few months. But in our culture, this is very difficult. While in other cultures or in previous times that was easy. Okay, go into the forest for a few months. Why not? Or go into a monastery or go meditate in a cave. Who cares? But in our bureaucratic, technological, first world countries where money is the god and natural science is the new religion, there it is not so easy to incorporate your new experiences, to find a new lifestyle that fits. So before coral hits you, or when coral hits you, get rid of your baggage as quickly as possible. It will help you and it will make the coral experience more comfortable. Okay, that's it for now about coral exploring part 3. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on Patreon. Thank you to Tori and Maxim. You have a choice on Patreon to donate $5, $10 or $20 every month to this channel. If you like, you don't have to. I'm happy if you do. Doesn't matter if you don't. But this video is one of the most important that you will ever hear and have ever heard. I promise you that. If you really listen to what I said. Most people spend decades looking for what I've just told you, or never find it their whole lives. So don't forget to hit the bell button and share the video with your friends if you liked it. And see you soon. I don't know when the next video will be because I'm away for work until next Wednesday. Keep it up, ask questions, discuss it with each other. I'm not an authority here. We're all equal. See you soon. And soon we will start with some Skype or Zoom sessions, as I have done already with some individuals of you, but we can do that in a group as well. Anyone who's interested in Skyping with me, write me an email.